Startups should not really limit themselves to one incubator or one accelerator. Take Beehive, for example. Beehive specializes in helping newcomers to Canada or first-time entrepreneurs in underserved markets gain access to a good network of mentors and find the right partners. Hello, my name is Tauseef Riaz. I am the co-founder of Consider Care. We're building a platform to enable delivery of home care to seniors across the world. Aging is a global problem, and we think we can make a difference in that space. Before becoming a late-life entrepreneur, I spent around 20 years working for large multinational global companies in North America, Africa, and Asia, investing in acquiring and building technology startups. That gave me a unique view of how innovation happens, not only in developed markets such as Canada, but also in developing markets where the mechanics and the process of innovation is very different from here to Canada. There's one interesting thing about emerging markets. So I spent most of my life in emerging markets. They tend to adopt technology later compared to developed countries, but then the adoption curve is very fast and very steep. So one example is in telecommunications, where I spent most of my life. In developing markets, when I moved there and when I was building and acquiring telecom networks, my assumption was that they will never catch up to countries like Canada and USA in terms of mobile penetration. But what I found out was I was completely wrong. They not only adopted mobile technologies quickly, but also at a much faster rate than in developed countries. And even if you go to Africa and South Asia, you see markets where there's more than 100% mobile penetration. There's very high internet and data adoption, and people are doing really creative and exciting things with internet and telecommunications. So every country tends to be different. It's like a snowflake. So every country has a different consumer profile. So if we talk about Canada, first of all, so Canada is a very conservative market when it comes to consumer. It's not like the United States of America as an example. People could consider that Canada and USA is same when it comes to consumer profiles or investors. It is not so. Canadian consumers take a long time, first of all, before deciding when they want to purchase a service or a product, whether it's a consumer, like a retail consumer, or it's a corporate consumer. They do a lot of research, and then they go a lot by trust. If you go to another market, which is less developed than Canada, take Africa, but take Egypt, for example. There, people are more focused on utility. So they might not do a lot of research. They might not rely a lot on trust that a brand or a product or service presents, but they look at the utility. Does it save them money? Does it save them time? Does it have low cost? And that's what decides a product adoption or service adoption in those countries. So if you compare United States, USA with Canada, one of the things that really comes out is the people are more brand loyal in USA than they tend to be in Canada. And there's a little bit of prestige involved. In Canada, it's more around trust. So when the decision is made, for example, a Canadian consumer will go online. They'll do a lot of research. They actually will look at your website. If you're selling digitally, they will go through your Google reviews. One reason for that is Canadians have actually less disposable income than Americans. So it's actually a more of a complex decision for them when they're looking at purchasing something. They want to look at the return on that investment. They want to see if it is affordable for them. In the United States, it's more experiential, right? And it's more prestige driven. So when they are looking at a product or a service, they are more attracted towards the persona that they will project to the world when they're using that product or service. And also if there's prestige involved in it. They also tend to be more risk takers in the United States, so they will adopt new and emerging technologies much faster than the Canadian consumers. Going back to the thing that I said earlier, the Canadian consumers are conservative. It takes them time to adopt a new technology or a new product or a new service, or switch from an existing supplier. Even if it's less costly to do the switch, they will take their time, they'll do their research, they'll try to get some trust into that product or service before switching into. So the thing that most successful startups, in my opinion, and what I've seen as an investor and a supporter and mentor of startups, is their ability to find extreme focus initially. So the most successful startups, especially in Canada, have one thing in common. They are focused on solving extremely narrow problems and sometimes extremely boring problems. It's good to be a sexy startup, but then what you find out might be later is that you will not be able to achieve sustainable growth. So one of the things I've seen again and again is that founders who manage to find overlooked opportunities usually find them actually in their own backyard. There seems to be a myth that an outsider can look into an industry and bring a fresh perspective and solve problems that people who do close to that industry can solve. It does happen occasionally, but most of the time what you find out is it's somebody who's working in a large organization or in an industry or a consultant who worked for them. And they go in there and they find out there's one problem. It might be compensation for the sales staff, or it might be a big cost reduction opportunity that everybody either expects as the norm in that industry or has not thought about as a problem that needs to be solved. One thing that I advise all, especially early stage founders who are trying to find big problems that they can solve, look in your own backyard. Look at a space that you've actually worked yourself, that you understand better, and then see if there are opportunities in there, problems that you can solve, or growth opportunities that you can identify around which you can build a business.